you could sum your wrestling career up in one word, what would it be?
Undeniable. Next.
Straight to the point, right? I love it.
Yeah, I mean, straight off the bat, I love that. What? No, welcome to the podcast. No, great to have you. Just like bam, straight in. I admire that.
Well, that's what we like to do. And you go straight in, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And that's how we have the fun, right? So yeah, I mean, we're talking obviously to Jensen Vesper. We've got loads of talk about himself, wrestling, himself, heels, himself. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Absolutely. They all sound like great topics of conversation. You're a fantastic host.
Absolutely. So, of course, enough rambling now. Let's get into the intro. Great to have you on the show, man. How's the week been?
Great. I've just come off the back of a crazy week of wrestling. I've been across the country, England and Wales, tearing it up. So yeah, all good here at Casa du Vesper. I'm not going to lie, feeling it on the old back, but hey, like any wrestler will tell you, like something always hurts.
Yeah, and when obviously you're relaxing and stuff like that, does it take a couple of days or does it just depend?
It takes a couple of days just because I'm quite a busy person. I tend to do a lot. And if I'm not wrestling, I'm in the gym. If I'm not in the gym, I'll be producing something, either a piece of music or something for social media, such as video content, for example. There's always something to be done. So to come off the back of a couple of days and just to kind of wake up and go, hey, we don't have to drive 200 miles and wrestle today, that it takes some getting used to.
Wow. And how do you juggle all this stuff? Do you ever get like time to yourself?
On the road, I guess. That's probably the only time where I can't be on social media, for example. Not legally anyway. Just kidding. I'm a safe driver. But no, like life's pretty full on, but I think you find the serenity and stillness that you need in other ways and at different times. So sometimes it's peaks and troughs. This has been a very, very busy couple of weeks. But it might be that in the next week or so, like as it stands at the minute, I have a wrestling-free weekend coming up. So maybe I have more time to myself than you would normally that weekend. But then for the following 3 weekends, like I'm fully booked, so I'm not gonna rest until July.
Not wrong with that stuff like that. And one of your matches from the weekend, which I know this is Kingdom Wrestling, you and Gareth Angel. What was that like?
In all honesty, one of my favorite matches. Gareth is a fantastic competitor. Whether we agree on everything or not all the time, that remains to be seen. It's clear that we don't. I think he's a fraud. Whilst I am the savior of professional wrestling. Alas, it wasn't to be this weekend for the Jensen Vesper, but I might not like him, but I sure respect him and what he's trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's obviously start at the beginning, man, and stuff like that. I mean, how did your career begin?
Well, that's quite an interesting question, actually. So I got into professional wrestling when I lived in Dubai. So when the Jensen Vesper lived in the UAE and was living it up at Friday brunch and at yacht parties every weekend, in between things, he was training to be a professional wrestler. There's a really fantastic facility called Wrestling Middle East that I thoroughly recommend. Or at least when I was there, it was kind of the start of COVID. So maybe we should or shouldn't have been training. Who knows? But we were. And there was probably a core group of about 10 of us who really, really, really wanted it. So we'd meet and train. I think it's really grown now. You might have seen some of their content. Their main shows tend to be through an event called Wrestling DXB. DXB means Dubai. And that's how it started. One or two of the guys there had a tryout for WWE. Prior to that, there was a promotion called Dubai Pro Wrestling that was run by a guy called Caleb, who was trained by the legend Rip Rogers. So there was kind of a dissension of knowledge and training kind of thing from over the years. And we were just doing the best with what we could, man. Like, it's incredible. When I kind of moved back to the UK and then started training at Future Shock in Manchester, I think it was only retrospectively when I look back and go, oh my goodness, like some of the things that they're doing over there in Dubai are just incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard a couple of the podcasts that Chris Jericho has done with people who founded promotions in kind of obscure places like the Arctic Pro Wrestling and Vietnam, for example, where there's maybe not a big scene there. Some of the stuff they're doing over there is incredible. So a big shout out to Coach Samir Nassif and Shaheen, who you might have seen online. He's recently trained with New Japan as well, so he's been over there to the dojo, and he just they both love wrestling and their people. So Sheen, for example, go away, train, do a load of shows, come back and be like, hey guys, I learned all this. So a huge thank you to those guys, and big props for my start. So yeah, perhaps not the most conventional beginnings. I mean, I'll be completely honest, we started out during COVID times. We were doing shows to, you know, friends and family. So 19, 20 people tops. And you've watched professional wrestling. You cannot do this. You can't do this half-assed, as they would say. You've got to be all in. So you've got to really, 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 really love it. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart.
Absolutely. You mentioned Future Shock there. What's some of the things obviously you learned there?
Where to start? I think my journey with Future Shock, and I would recommend it for anybody, really catapulted my journey into professional wrestling. Just everything. I mean, they really do have everything as a training facility. I mean, coaches wise, Sam Bailey, Chris Ridgway, Lizzie Evo, like all legends on the British scene. And it's everything from, you know, the moves, which are important, but it's everything else. It's everything else. The psychology, the fitness, how you carry yourself, as well as a professional wrestler, and just all of it. Promotional work as well. They have promo classes. So if you're looking for somewhere to train to be a professional wrestler, Future Shock is just the one. It really, really is. So I thoroughly recommend it.
Absolutely. So whenever I was doing research, obviously into your character and stuff like that, the first thing I noticed straight away was the crowd reaction you get are absolutely spot on. What's that like from your point of view?
I love it. The more eyes on the Jensen Vesper, the better. The more sharing of Jensen Vesper's content, the better. The more people are talking about Jensen Vesper, the better.
Straight to the point. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to dig a little deeper there, I mean, you can look into the psychology of these things and whose job it is to do what. So for me, if you're cheering me, great. If you're booing me, great, because I'm making you feel something, whether you like me or hate me or like to hate me. Job done.
Natural here, right? That's what I'm getting.
Well, I think any sort of perception of anybody is through the eye of the perceiver. So you can come out there and people absolutely adore you. I can come out there and people absolutely hate me. Meh. It doesn't make a difference to me. I am who I am wherever I go.
Absolutely. And one of the other things I liked about you was your Salford City promos. They are absolutely top notch. Talk about promo work, because obviously it's a big part of your character.
It really is, and it's a massive thing that clearly, and very thank you for your compliments, it makes people stand out. I don't do super flips and super kicks. I don't do 450s because I don't need to. I can do more damage with a microphone than I need to with any wrestling move. It's those sort of things that make people stand out. It's the commitment. It's the putting in the hours. It's the, oh, well, here's a fun idea that we could do, or here's a different angle that we could try. Because every weekend there are hundreds of wrestling shows across the country, hundreds of wrestling matches across the country. What's going to make someone want to watch mine? you know. One, play to your strengths. As you can see, I can talk and I love it, and you're gonna have to shut me up at times. And two, like, people have got to care. People have got to care. You can go to any wrestling show and see any two wrestlers face off, and they can do incredible moves and really cool stuff. But tell me afterwards how much of it you remember. And I will always say this to anybody: how many of your favorite moments in wrestling are wrestling moves?
Oh, that's kind of stumped me that a little bit, yeah.
Right? Exactly. And there's so many people out there, so many incredibly talented people in that ring. So if I can make myself stand out on social media by cutting really cool promos, coming up with great content ideas, then great. You know, everyone is just looking for their place. And there is one thing I love about professional wrestling is that there's a place for everybody. I'll say this: if there's a place for Jensen Vesper in professional wrestling, there is a place for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're in the ring. It doesn't matter if you're holding a camera. It doesn't matter if you're greeting fans and guests on their way in. If you're selling merch, there is room for someone to do absolutely everything. And that's one thing I love about it. It's so inclusive.
Absolutely. And this kind of ties in perfectly to my next question and stuff like that is, for people who obviously is not familiar with yourself, why should fans go check you out? This is like the way I obviously let you promote yourself.
One, because you're going to be entertained purely, and that's what people are looking for. Life is tough. Life is hard. We've all sat and what's a WWE network, and anybody will tell you, you know, RIP. And any of them will tell you that people are kind of looking to escape reality and feel. And that's what you're going to get when you come and see Jensen Vesper. Not to mention, he is the originator, the innovator, the inspirator. He's the Ace of Hearts.
Straight to the point. I love it. I'm loving this because you're not like beating around the bush. You're going straight to the point. I kind of respect that. Best way and stuff like that. So, in wrestling, obviously things happen. Have we had many injuries?
Yes and no. And it's so funny. Anyone in wrestling will tell you, like, it's always the little things that you think, meh, that get you. Touch wood. I've not had anything really, really serious. I haven't broken any bones yet that I'm aware of. I might have, and just kind of thought, oh, 6 hours in A&E does not sound like fun, and just kind of skipped across it. But it's always little things. I remember kind of straining my neck, which affected me for about 3 weeks, just through a roll-up pin. Like, what? You know? I've heard stories of people kind of shattering their knee, tearing their ACL just by getting out of the ring. Just something so simple. And it's those little things that you almost take for granted that can sometimes cause the most damage, but it's really not a cool story. You know, like if someone says, oh, I got powerbombed through a table, and then you're like, okay, that's kind of cool, you know, or like, oh, I cut my head open on a steel cage. You're like, yeah, fine. But, you know, like, oh, you know, I don't know. I damaged the ligaments in my finger just by putting my hand out because I lost my balance on the apron. Like, cool. Things like that. I did separate a disc in November in my back through a powerbomb, which is quite a cool story. So that's quite cool. And then I think I might have burst my eardrum recently from being hit in the face. But you know, it's not ballet, as they say. These kind of things happen, and I'm very, very fortunate. The other wrestlers that I've wrestled are just absolutely incredible, and we're all on a learning journey. So it's no criticism to anybody at all. You go in, you step through those ropes in the knowledge that could happen, and quite frankly, I'm really grateful that that's the only thing that's happened. You know, that's the only thing I've had to deal with, because there are so many guys out there who've overcome incredible injuries. Like, I don't even consider those things injuries. You know, they're just aches, but that's fine. You know, some people are overcoming the most intense adversity, not just injury based, but in life too, and they're still doing it, and they're still putting in the hard work. So I've got nothing but respect for those people. But myself, very fortunately, I haven't had anything too intense. And I think one thing I have learned is just to listen to your body. Like last week, I had 5 shows, 6 matches, back to back, very intense. And normally I would train on a Monday, and yesterday I was like, actually, maybe not, because my back was just saying, no, Jensen, we need to sit down. We need to stretch. We need to maybe not get body slams today. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think you're on point there. I mean, I've said that for many times as well. Is one person who knows the body better than themselves is you yourself.
It's true, and I think, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but wrestlers are really hungry people. They want to do really well and continue to climb the ladder, so to speak, and just get better and better, and wrestle whenever and however they can. And it kills me, like if it's like, oh, I can't train today, or can't go to the gym today, or I'm gonna have to turn down that show. Not I've ever had to, thankfully. Oh, actually, I did once. I did my back. I had to pull out a couple of things, which was not fun, but people were understanding. And it's really easy though to ignore those messages from your body that says, hey, actually, if you just sit today out, you could probably go a lot better for the next 6 months. So it really is like, sometimes actually just let go of today in the sake of tomorrow, for the sake of tomorrow.
Absolutely. How long did the back injury keep you out?
Only about 6 weeks. And it's funny, wrestling doesn't really have a season. That's one thing I've learned. There's no kind of football style season with wrestling, but it does tend to get quieter over Christmas. And fortunately, it was over that time. So there were a couple of things that I unfortunately was no longer able to compete in. But yeah, about 6 weeks or so before I kind of got back training again. And I think I was back in the ring on shows in February, I think.
Wow, not too bad then, stuff like that. Now, this next question I don't ask many people, I'm going to ask it you, is what's one thing in wrestling fans will never understand?
Ooh, what's one thing in wrestling that fans will never understand? I think that's a tricky one. I think one thing that I am still learning to understand, which I will admit to not understanding, is that the moves don't matter as much as you think. It's a lot of it is what happens between the moves. That's where the drama is. A lot of the moves that I do and the moves that other people do, they're punctuation points. They're moments of desperation. They're moments of hope. They're swinging for the fences out of fear. They're all emotionally. Everything is emotionally fueled. And sometimes it's really easy. We've all been armchair fantasy bookers, right? Where we go, oh, well, this should have happened. And like at WrestleMania, The Rock should have come out, but they sent out Travis Scott instead. Like there has to be an element of trust and faithfulness, right? That things are going somewhere. I would say maybe those two things, but I'm guilty of the latter myself because I sat there and watched WrestleMania and said, well, that should have been The Rock, not Travis Scott. So I get it.
Yeah, I did it. Oh, I did a watch along with a lot of my friends, and we all said the same thing. I'm like, really?
Yeah, right. Honestly. That song, by the way, lives rent free in my head. The WrestleMania song. Man, he must be a billionaire.
Would you say that WWE's capitalized on WrestleMania? Because a lot of fans don't think they have.
In what sense? What do you mean capitalized on it?
Like they always say, like, do you know, like the momentum type style, and people think they feel like they've lost the momentum after Mania.
I think here we go. Aren't we all just marks at heart? I think maybe the momentum was a bit lost on the lead up to WrestleMania in some respects. So hear me out. You win the Royal Rumble and you get to main event WrestleMania. Which Royal Rumble winner, men's or women's, main evented WrestleMania this year?
Neither,
none of them. So suddenly that story arc, which you're kind of normally gearing everything towards, which is then going to lead to one huge like climax of release in some respects at WrestleMania, win or lose, just didn't quite build the same. Main event Jey Uso won the main event of the Royal Rumble so that he could main event WrestleMania, but then didn't main event WrestleMania. Like, so can you see how it kind of came a bit convoluted for me? And then suddenly it was a case of, oh, well, if you win the Elimination Chamber, you get to main event WrestleMania. I will let that one slide because it was John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I mean, WrestleMania is always anchored around a marquee match ever since like Hogan and Andre, fine. But then suddenly you can be in the main event of WrestleMania in a triple threat just because you really want it. Guys, you're underselling the event a bit for me anyway, but I guess we're quite loyal to how things always were. I still watched it. It was okay. But yeah, then coming off the back of that, it's kind of there are definitely a few question marks. But then again, like as a fan, that's one of the things that like with being in the business a little bit, that I can say, well, actually, there's probably things we don't know. There's probably something I don't know. Someone was probably injured. Things get changed at the last minute all the time. And I think it's really important not to be overly judgmental and just remember this is this fantastic, unique world of entertainment that affords us so much. And whilst it matters so much to us, it is a form of entertainment. Like I heard, I think it was Tyler Breeze said, wrestling is so important because it's wrestling, but it's only wrestling kind of thing. And again, going back to like pushing yourself and being like, oh, I really want to train today, or I should really be doing this because it's wrestling. Like that's the kind of thing that you have to, or I have to remind myself sometimes. It's like, it's the most important thing ever. But also like, it's only wrestling, like let's just kind of bigger picture sometimes,
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the fan base as well, they can be too critical. It's like you can't please everybody. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knew obviously what was going to happen at the main event of Mania, but yet everyone's like going, "Oh," but you still got like core fan base going, "Oh, actually, yeah, we kind of like that." Do you know what I mean? So you can't win it either way.
Of course, you're never going to please everyone. Wrestling for me is kind of like a hybrid between sport and Star Wars. It's kind of got that fanatical fan base, and I'll admit to partaking in that level of fanaticism. There's always well, this should have happened, and that should have happened, and that doesn't make sense because of this, and like it's always going to be there, I guess, and it's unique in that respect.
Absolutely, and stuff like that. So going back obviously to your career in wrestling and stuff like that, what's some of your personal highlights so far?
Oh wow, personal highlights. It's funny. I think only when I stop do you kind of look back and go, "Oh wow, like how cool is this?" I'm so busy being on the train that sometimes I forget to look out the window at where I've been. February is really special. I made a return at the For Love of Wrestling, the Rumble, at the Future Shocks break convention event, which was really cool. So I got to work in the same ring as guys like Rhino, Gangrel, for example. It was epic. I was really, really cool, and there was just so much talent on that show and in that locker room. Grado was there. It was phenomenal. That was really, really cool. That was a kind of like pinch myself moment where the space between the very top of this industry. It's like Jinder Mahal was on that show. I know he doesn't go by that anymore, but he was on the same show. Like we're sharing a locker room here. Like the space between the very top of this industry and like the kind of grassroots level, it just for a night like that, it just comes down to here, and it's amazing to see how what a small but also magnificently huge jump that is, and to almost be able to taste it. It's a bit like a Sunday. I'm not saying that like I'm a Sunday League wrestler, but for example, but like I guess it would be like someone who plays Sunday League football playing against Man United in the same competition. Maybe not Man United because sadly they're doing terrible at the moment, but playing against Liverpool, someone who's actually doing well. In a football tournament and being like, oh my goodness, I'm sharing a pitch with these high caliber players, and because sometimes a bit like the FA Cup, then sometimes the gap between heaven and earth is just vanishes a touch more so than usual. So yeah, that was definitely a real highlight. But I was talking about this with a wrestler called Kuya Byrne, who actually works out in Dubai, and we were saying that actually some of the matches that kind of mean the most, or the events that mean the most, mean different things for different reasons. Sometimes it can be like, wow, like that just flowed, and like I feel like a really cool wrestler after having done that. And other times it could just be a moment where like you just kind of have the audience. Like I remember I had a really great match against Billy O'Keefe for the Burnley Pro Wrestling Airborne Championship, and towards the end I was struggling, I'm not going to lie, so I went low. I'm not proud of it. It nearly worked, but I still came second. I didn't lose, I came second. And that moment where I just thought, screw this, I'm gonna bish, and then the audience were like, what, kind of thing, and just the pause where everything just stopped, like that was epic. So for me, like moments like that, I like, that's really cool, because you learn so much. And sometimes going into an event, you think, right, out of this event, I want to get better at this, or I really want to focus on this. Not everything can be a priority. You can't go in and going to be like, well, I'm going to do amazing this, amazing that, amazing that, amazing. If you just prioritize one or two things each time, I'm learning. Don't look at me. You know, like I'm not a veteran or anything like that. I'm not trying to vet anyone or anything. I'm just kind of reflecting on things that I've heard and things that I've done. Is that if I can just focus on one or two things and think, right, in this event tonight, I'm going to try and do these, then maybe those two things get a little bit better. And then the next time I focus on something else, and then something else, and something else, and then everything's getting a bit better. And there are always peaks and troughs. There's always times where you're like, oh, I feel really good at this, but I don't feel so good at that right now. And then you get better at this, and this doesn't look so good anymore. But eventually, over time, things get better, or so they say. So they say. I'm still being booked.
It's like anything though, isn't it, in life, even in wrestling, even though I think you're always learning, no matter how long you've been doing like a certain thing, you're always learning. Even the veterans who've been doing it 20 years, they'll say, we're still learning.
Yeah, I remember watching, I think it was a podcast, and I forget who the guest was, but they were talking about, I think it was Arn Anderson. They were talking to Arn Anderson backstage, and Arn Anderson was like, don't ask me, what do I know? And I'm like, if Arn Anderson can admit to, you know, I don't know, then sure, that we can all be humble, you know?
Absolutely, and stuff like that. So before you obviously go out and perform and stuff like that, how do you get yourself into like what I call the zone?
The zone. It's so interesting. I guess it's quite dangerous in some respects. The more that Jensen Vesper is out there, the easier it is for Jensen Vesper to be prepared. So as you know, within minutes of this starting, I was like, oh, sorry, Vesperado, didn't realize we were live, as I trudged back in from the gym. And that was about 6:29. Then at 6:30, bam, we're on, you know, like, so in terms of getting in the zone as such, I think as soon as you're kind of in the, you know, in the gorilla position, oh my goodness, what a mark, but you know, backstage, once you're ready at the curtain and then you hear that music, it just works. There's just something about it that works. Like there's you can have whatever going on in your life, and it could have been the worst day, the most stressful journey to the venue. Things change all the time. You get there expecting one thing, something else happens. Oh, so and so can't make it. So and so's injured, so it's going to be this. Then 10 minutes before, sometimes it's, oh, actually, I think we're going to do this now, and you think, cool. But then as soon as that music hits, it's go time.
How do you wind down after a match?
That's a great question. Normally at about 2 o'clock in the morning, when the adrenaline wears off and you crash face down into an iPad or a book. That's very often the case. The post-show high is real. It really is real. It's absolute electricity. And then I guess what a lot of people don't realize is that there aren't that many professional wrestlers. So if you want to put on a show in City X, there might only be 2 or 3 wrestlers who live in City X, and they might be doing a show in City Y. So suddenly you're having to bring people in, and there's a lot of travel involved. And you know, we like to help one another out as well. So I often will sometimes share the limousine with a few of the Vesperados, and it can be a long night. You know, it can be kind of 1 o'clock in the morning before you get home, and then you're still like buzzed. Being a bit of a social media addict, I then spend some time having a look at who's posted what, and as well, like you said about social media before, and we can kind of laugh and joke about it, but like these things run out. If someone's posted a story or something about you or a post, stories are going to expire, so you kind of need to get on it so that you can share it, or your place at the top of the news feed is going to plummet if you leave it, and it's harder to find. So trying to capitalize on things like that, I find that I'll tend to do after the show, and then kind of hold on to some things and decide, okie dokie, I'm looking forward to sharing this. I'll share this then. Other things we can ping off straight away. And also, you're just really, really pumped. You're like, I've just done this amazing thing that I love, and I get to share it with my Vesperados. So why wouldn't you? But yeah, it's normally about 2 o'clock. I'm not going to lie.
So when we put this on, obviously on Instagram, regular listener Simon Gibbs sent his go-to question, which was, what's your go-to beverage and cheat meal?
Beverage and cheat meal, wowzers. My go-to beverage is a Coke Zero. Don't tell my personal trainer. Shout out to Dan Bryden, he's absolutely incredible. But I don't drink Coke Zero, Dan. It would be my go-to if I ever did, which I don't. No, I won't lie. Admittedly, on the way back along the road, when the eyes are getting heavy, I think, do you know what? Yeah, it's going to be Coke Zero. And then cheat meal of choice. Whoa, so hard. Anything Italian. I'm not gonna lie. Like Italian cuisine is the meanest. It's just they've got everything, literally everything. Carbs, herbs, spices, flavor, melted cheese, desserts. You know, like I always find that some cuisine kind of falls short when it comes to dessert. And it's like, oh, well, we'll just give them ice cream. Ice cream is Italian. Cannolis, you name it. So anything Italian. The Jensen Vesper is partial to a margarita pizza, but again, I never have it because my body's a temple.
So you kind of touched on it throughout the whole interview, like things you've learned and stuff like that. But what's the biggest thing you've learned?
Just be kind with your time and with your effort, and try and meet people where they are, and with understanding, because in this industry you are very often working with people who maybe you've never met before, or who you only ever see kind of on the road, and in between all of this, like, life is happening in between it. So seeing someone promotion A on one Saturday, and then seeing them at promotion B the following Saturday, who knows what's happened in between, you know? So I think meeting everybody and everything with kindness is a really, really good one. I think seeing everything as an opportunity as well. Seeing everything as an opportunity to understand wrestling better, to make connections. And I don't necessarily mean in a self-serving way. I just mean in a way that's going to help you enjoy this journey a lot more. It's so easy to pile pressure on yourself and say, oh, well, this time in 6 months, I want to have wrestled, 10 matches and all this kind of stuff. But then if you haven't, then you failed. So I think definitely reflect on your intent more so than an outward goal that has external variables that are going to be affected by other people that are beyond your control, and just enjoy that journey. Because I think a big shout out to Tony Wright, who's an absolute legend in British wrestling. He was talking to me about something similar once. He said, like, as soon as he kind of took his foot off the, oh, I need to do this, and just enjoyed the ride, things just started falling into place, and you start enjoying the ride a lot more. You know, it starts to be fun, and it's supposed to be fun. Life is short. We live in this fantasy world of larger-than-life personalities wrestling one another in spandex. Like, it's supposed to be a bit bonkers. It's supposed to be a bit fun. It's supposed to be out there. So, and no one knows how long we've got on the road, so you might as well enjoy the journey.
Absolutely. So a few little more questions, obviously, as we begin to wind down and stuff like that. Is what's the goal, obviously, for you now for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, I think the rest of the year. It's so funny you should say that. So in my kind of contacts with my personal trainers, like a group of us, and he just put a message out there like, kind of, what are your goals for the next like 5 years for fitness? And I literally had an existential crisis. I was like, what am I going to do in my life? And all of a sudden, like, so yeah, those kind of phases, some questions, sometimes quite big and wide and open-ended. For the rest of the year, wrestling wise, get better at wrestling. That's it. I think just get better. Anything else will come because I've got better. And getting better at wrestling doesn't mean like learning more cool moves, or doing 450s at 100 miles an hour. It's understanding the business and the art, so things like trying to up my promos, like you mentioned, the Salford ones. They take a lot of time, they take a lot of thought, they take a lot of editing, not aesthetically, but literally editing, as you know, as a video content creator. So putting the time in there, putting the time in the gym. So I signed up for a personal trainer so that I could improve my physique, so that I look like somebody that a company, will put in a title match, so that I look like somebody who could hold a championship. Because whilst I try not to have goals as such where my own personal success is defined by an outcome beyond my control, I would really like to be champion. I mean, like, who doesn't want to be champion? Find me a wrestler who doesn't want to be champion. Find someone who does anything competitive and doesn't really kind of want to win something. So I would say, yeah, just get better at wrestling is the intent, and then hopefully those other things will come.
I imagine, obviously, with the UK, there's some great talent and stuff like that. Is anyone on your list you'd like to obviously get in the ring with?
Oh, wow. There's so many people. I'd love just to mention a few people that I feel really lucky enough to have spent time in the ring with. Literally anyone at Future Shock. Like, everybody is just so talented. Like Sam Bailey, I had a great match with him at MMU, Manchester Metropolitan Union. It's available to watch on Watch Future Shock online. I'm recently, I've done a couple of matches that involve Danny Hope and Joey Hayes, otherwise known as the Models, very well known across the Brit Rest scene, and that's just been the best. Like, we're just having a great time. So a big shout out to some of those guys. Going forward, so hard. And like I said, there are people that you wrestle, or matches that you wrestle, and then you go, oh, that was good because of this, or I loved it because I was in there with one of my friends, or I loved it because we, like, I really wanted to make the crowd feel this, and they did. I was at Salford a few weeks ago, aligned myself with His Majesty Troy Ryan, and super kicked Jack Johnson's head off. Didn't break a sweat. Loved it. One of my favorite moments in wrestling, because the crowd just ate it. They just ate it. The sense of injustice almost took the roof off. I absolutely loved it. Great. And that didn't involve me wrestling a match. So moments like that, and people like that who help make those moments what they are, I'm really thankful for. But sorry, back to your question. I told you I could talk. Back to your question. Who do I want to wrestle? Oh, well, I'm really excited that I actually do get to wrestle Jack Johnson, because as much as he grinds my gears at the moment, he is a fantastic wrestler. I'll give him that. Who else do I want to wrestle? There's a chap in Spain called Ricky Barcello, who I got in contact with through social media, and just like, we've hit it off, really, really have. So I think from a fun perspective, it would be cool to mix it up with him. There are so many people. Obviously, John Cena at WrestleMania, 100%. I could probably get the Undertaker out of retirement. I think he'd be up for it. I mean,
why not?
what do you reckon? Maybe get him on here and say, look, Take, it's been a while. We know, the wheels don't move as fast as they used to, but here's an opportunity that's going to benefit you and take your brand to the next level. I think he'd be down. I think he'd be up for it.
Yeah, I'll definitely will. I'll definitely reach out and try and get him on. There you go. And I'll send him your way as well.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
This has been an absolute great chat, Jensen. I hope you've enjoyed yourself today, man.
I've had a whale of a time. Thank you. You've made it been so accommodating. You really, really have.
Absolutely. So before, obviously, we head off and stuff like that, is there anything you like to plug, like your socials?
You can find me on Instagram at Jensen Vesper and the same on TikTok at Jensen Vesper. And yeah, feel free, get involved, get interactive. One thing I will say as wrestlers, we love when people interact with us and support us online. And if you would like to see Jensen Vesper at a show near you, get in touch with said company and I'm sure we can make it happen.
Absolutely. What we'll do is we'll put all your links in the description of this video so fans can jump from this video to your socials and go support you. How's that?
Thank you. Love it.
Absolutely. So I need one more thing for you. So everyone I interview gets to do the outro for this show so they can say anything you want and I will roll the outro. Take it away.
Wow. What a moment. Maybe I could just sit here in silence.
You can do. I'll just hit video if you.
It will be first. Never done that. Always find the camera, always find the microphone. Well, this has been what a fantastic evening it has been with Liam and the one and only, the one divine savior, the innovator, the originator, the inspirator, the ace of hearts, the undeniable Jensen Vesper. Now I'm out of here because I am the Jensen Vesper and I deserve better.